Welcome to the Masked Reader. Can you guess who is behind the mask? First up, we have Unicorn.
Gather round, unicorns, one and all. Let's snuggle up and hear about our story. Phoebe and Her Unicorn by Dana Simpson. Do you believe in unicorns? Phoebe does. She has no choice because one day she was skimming a stone across a pond and she hit a unicorn in the face. Improbably for her wish, she asked for the unicorn to be her best friend. So she goes through life with a unicorn as her best friend, called Marigold Heavenly Nostrils. Phoebe has all the normal problems in school. She has fallouts with her classmates. She doesn't like PE lessons. Her mum makes her do piano lessons. But she also has some other problems that come along with having a unicorn as a best friend. Magical hair, candy-breathing dragons, and the legendary Shield of Boringness. We like this book in our house because it's a graphic novel. Graphic novels can be just as much fun as other books. So, my little unicorn friends, let's all sit around and read.
Wow, Unicorn has really got me confused. Next up, it's Helmet Head.
Not when you go to a school for spies. Of course, if you're reading this, you probably have at least level 4 clearance and know all about the Gallagher Academy for Exceptional Young Women, that it isn't really a boarding school for privileged girls, and that despite our gorgeous mansion and manicured grounds, we're not snobs, we're spies.
I have my suspicions about that one. Next, we have Flower.
If I was older, I would live in this really great modern house all on my own, and I'd have my own huge bedroom with all my own things, special bunk bed just for me, so that I'd always get the top one, and a Mickey Mouse alarm just like Justine's, and my own giant set of post pins, and I'd have some felt tips as well, and no one would ever get to bother them and mess them up. And I'd have my own television and I'd choose exactly what programmes I want, and I'd stay up till gone 12 every night, and I'd eat McDonald's every single day, and I'd have a big fast car so I could whiz off to my mum's whenever I wanted.
Ooh, this is getting tough. Meow. Next up, it's Cat.
Sophie stacked a pile of logs in front of the grate so that Calcifer could at least reach the top one. "You're not to burn them until you've got them in the grate," she warned him, and she set off for the door yet again. This time somebody knocked on it before she got there. It was one of those days, Sophie thought. It must be the sea captain. She put up her hand to turn the knob blue down. "No, it's the castle door," Calcifer said. "But I'm not sure." Then it must be Michael back for some reason, Sophie thought as she opened the door. A turnip face leered at her. She smelled mildew. Against the wide blue sky, a ragged arm ending in a stump of a stick wheeled round and tried to paw at her. It was a scarecrow. It was only made of sticks and rags, but it was alive, and it was trying to come in. "Calcifer," Sophie screamed, "make the castle go faster." The stone blocks around the doorway crunched and grated. The green-brown moorland was suddenly rushing past. The scarecrow's thick arm thumped on the door, and then went scraping along the wall of the castle as the castle left it behind.
That was great. Can you guess who Giraffe is? They're up next.
Khaled Hosseini writes The Kite Runner. Chapter 1, December 2001. I became what I am today at the age of 12 on a frigid, overcast day in the winter of 1975. I remember the precise moment, crouching behind a crumbling mud wall, peeking into the alley near the frozen creek. That was a long time ago, but it's wrong what they say about the past. I've learnt about how you can bury it, because the past claws its way out. Looking back now, I realise I've been peeking into that deserted alley for the last 26 years.
Blimey, Amy O'Reilly. I am lost. Feathers, you're up.
Please would you tell me, said Alice, a little timidly, for she was not quite sure whether it was good manners for her to speak first. Why your cat grins like that? It's a Cheshire cat, said the Duchess, and that's why. Pig! She said the last word with such sudden violence that Alice quite jumped. But she saw in another moment that it was addressed to the baby, and not to her, so she took courage and went on again. I didn't know that Cheshire cats always grinned. In fact, I didn't know that cats could grin. They all can, said the Duchess, and most of 'em do. I don't know of any that do, Alice said very politely, feeling quite pleased to have got into a conversation. You don't know much, said the Duchess, and that's a fact.
Wowzers! Sequins, you're up next.
She won't wake, said a soft voice. Harry jumped and spun around on his knees. A tall, black-haired boy was leaning against the nearest pillar, watching. He was strangely blurred around the edges, as though Harry was looking at him through a misted window. But there was no mistaking him. Tom? Tom Riddle? Riddle nodded, not taking his eyes off Harry's face. What do you mean she won't wake? Harry said desperately. She's not. She's still alive, said Riddle, but only just. Harry stared at him. Tom Riddle had been at Hogwarts 50 years ago, yet here he stood, a weird, misty light shining about him, not a day older than 16. Are you a ghost? Harry said uncertainly. A memory, said Riddle quietly, preserved in a diary for 50 years. He pointed towards the floor, near the statue's giant toes. Lying open there was the little black diary Harry had found in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. For a second, Harry wondered how it had got there. But there were more pressing matters to deal with. You've got to help me, Tom, Harry said, raising Ginny's head again. We've got to get her out of here. There's a basilisk. I don't know where it is, but it could be along at any moment. Please help me. Riddle didn't move. Harry, sweating, managed to hoist Ginny half off the floor and bent to pick up his wand again. But his wand had gone. Did you see? He looked up. Riddle was still watching him, twirling Harry's wand between his long fingers. Thanks, said Harry, stretching out his hand for it. A smile curled the corners of Riddle's mouth. He continued to stare at Harry, twirling the wand idly. Listen, said Harry urgently, his knees sagging with Ginny's dead weight. We've got to go. If the basilisk comes... It won't come until it's called, said Riddle, calmly. Harry lowered Ginny back onto the floor, unable to hold her up any longer.
Did that leave you with a sparkle? Let's see if you can identify this gangster.
George's marvellous medicine. The marvellous plan. George sat himself down at the table in the kitchen. He was shaking a little. Oh, how he hated Grandma. He really hated that horrid old witchy woman. All of a sudden, he had a tremendous urge to do something about her. Something whopping. Something absolutely terrific. A real shocker. A sort of explosion. He wanted to blow away the witchish smell that hung about her in the next room. He may have only been 8 years old, but he was a brave little boy. He was ready to take this old woman on.
Wow! What a round of readers! Don't forget to email Miss Booth with your form's entry for the Masked Reader.